This Vision Ireland podcast contains chapter markers. If you want to skip the intro or a topic you don't like, you can use chapter markers to do so. Chapter markers are only supported in some podcast apps. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Talking Technology with VI Labs. At VI Labs, we believe technology is the single greatest enabler for people with sight loss and all disabilities. If you're looking for the latest news and conversation on tech from a more accessible perspective, you've come to the right place.
Yes, indeed, you have. Hello, gang. Hope you're keeping well. Hope you're feeling great. Welcome in to Talking Technology with VI Labs. We're at episode 98. It is a very busy time here in Vision Ireland. We've been flying through stuff. We're pretty much past that back to school rush now. We're past that, thank goodness. But it's been really busy here in Vision Ireland, and we have a packed podcast coming up for you over the next little while. But hey, hope you're keeping well. As I said, we've been doing loads over the last little while. We had an event only last week, actually, in TU Dublin, demoing loads of different bits of technology. Our friends over at Sight and Sound were organising that, and there were loads of other organisations too. There was ourselves, Child Vision, Guide Dogs, Fighting Blindness. They were all there. We were all hanging out there. IMBAF was there as well. The Tech Chat group was there. And Joe Geraghty was over there too. There was loads of things happening at that, and I managed to go along to catch some content throughout the day, and we will have some of that content, including an interview with Joe Geraghty about his book, over on the VI Labs YouTube channel later in the week, so be sure to subscribe to that. He's talking some really interesting stuff. Joe wrote a book called Out of Sight, which tells the story of sports people who helped build and helped develop the whole world of visually impaired and blind para sports. So really, really interesting stuff. And Joe tells us both about his book and also about the process of getting it created in Braille. So we'll be chatting with Joe about that. That's on the VI Labs YouTube channel. And that will be available later this week. But as for this podcast, though, well, we've got loads coming up here all about Braille too. And we have a demo of the Braille Access feature in iOS 26. Mairead will be talking to us about that later on. And what happens when new technologies and old technologies collide. Meta glasses, they can do some stuff with Braille as well. And Brian Manning from our technology team will be telling us all about that too. So do stick around for the next hour or so. We hope you'll stay with us. And maybe even if you listen at double speed, which I hear some of you are doing actually, maybe you'll get through it even faster. But there you go. So hey, welcome in. Thanks so much for joining the show. And hey, why not join the conversation too? If you would like to send us a voice note or a comment, there are loads of ways that you can get in touch with us. So if you want to join the conversation, you can get in touch with us with a WhatsApp voice note. It's probably the easiest way to get in touch with us at this point. If you'd like to do that, you can send us a message to 086 199 0011. That's 086 199 0011. And if you do that, remember, you want to use the voice message button. It's labeled with voiceover. It's at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. It's not a call. You want to send the voice message there. So you double tap and you hold, you record your message, and then lift your finger and it comes straight to us. So that is how you send a message on WhatsApp. So we'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to do things the good old fashioned way, you can also send it to us by email to content@vi.ie. That's content@vi.ie. So no matter how you would like to join the conversation, be it on WhatsApp or with an email, we'd love to get in touch with you and you get in touch with us. So content@vi.ie or 086 199 0011. And hey, to go through some of the voice notes that we received in, I am joined, as always, from Kilkenny by Mr. Joe Lonigan. Joe, how are you?
Hi, David. All good. I'm exhausted after that intro. Well done.
I know, that was a bit of a marathon, that, wasn't it? But there you go.
Yeah, my God.
Did you enjoy it, Joe? Was it enjoyable?
Oh, yeah. You sound almost out of breath, but yeah, it was very good.
Good. Yeah, I was thinking we might need to start again there for a minute, but I think we'll just leave it at this point. But there you go.
No, brilliant.
Awesome stuff. So, Joe, tell me, loads of voice notes in. We've got loads to cover. Our first voice note this week, we're going outside of Ireland. We are going all around the world, truly worldwide we are, to Jessica, who is messaging, I believe, from the United States of America. Here is what Jessica had to say.
Good morning. My name is Jessica. Yes, I use a smart TV. I have a Fire TV, and I also have an Apple TV. I actually have them connected to each other, which is quite convenient because what that allows me to do is switch between the two using voice commands. And I don't have to remember which HDMI cable has what. You refer to them by name. So for example, if I'm watching something on my Fire TV and I want to switch to my Apple TV, as is often the case, I can simply press the Alexa button and say, switch to Apple TV. And within a few seconds, it typically does. If it doesn't for some reason, I'll press a button on my remote, and that usually works.
That's a great tip. Thanks so much, Jessica. And Joe, you've a similar setup. You also have both a Fire TV, I think Fire TV Stick in your case, and also an Apple TV. It really is getting great with the accessibility of television now, isn't it?
Yeah, David, it's brilliant. Thanks, Jessica, for the voice note as well, and for the tip. Just it keeps reminding people that there is accessible ways of accessing your TV nowadays. So yeah, I also have a Fire Stick. I know she said Fire TV. She might mean stick, but I have a Fire Stick as well, and a an Apple TV. So yeah, I do similar things. I use the Siri button on the Apple TV to open things like Netflix and Disney Plus. I also use the Alexa button on the Fire Stick. So, yeah, it's brilliant nowadays. Also, massive availability of audio description on most apps and channels. So I also they're plugged in to the HDMI slots on a Samsung Smart TV. So I also have the availability of that as well. So that's built on a kind of an Android TV base. You know. So I look, it's the world's your oyster now with TV. And then last week, 2 weeks ago now, I think it is, David, we heard from Sky and Sky Accessibility. We had David Nason on telling us about all the amazing things that are happening with Sky and new features, new audio description on demand, and voice guidance has improved. So TV has never been better, David.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, it's fantastic. And you touch on audio description there. Just the prevalence of it now is so much more than it used to be. And I think there are areas where we do still need to catch up. Like I was looking to go to the cinema recently, saw a fantastic movie. It was called I Swear. It was absolutely fantastic, actually. But our local cinema didn't have audio description. And like there's little things like that where you'd love it to just be a little bit more widespread, but it's getting fantastic now that you can kind of assume that, you know, most things on Apple TV, most especially new stuff on Netflix as well, is going to have audio description, and long may it continue, I think, Joe.
Yeah, I noticed House of Guinness is just brilliant audio describer on House of Guinness. Lots of Irish accents. I think the accent for the audio describer is English, but it is very excellent audio describer, and whoever wrote the audio descriptions as well done to them. So yeah, House of Guinness, I recommend it for anyone there on Netflix. But yeah, as you said, most of the new stuff has audio description. It's very rare, like you'd find something without audio description, maybe 1 in every 10 or whatever. But look, it's the way it's gone. I kind of skip if the audio description doesn't come on when I play it. I end up not watching it. So I think that's the way it is, you know.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of these things. Like we talk later on, and we spoke about it in the newsletter last week about Tesco and them rolling out a partnership with Be My Eyes. And I think it's, you know, the crucial thing is that if these services are out there, that people use them, because I think we're lucky that a lot of people are using audio description now, where it's actually worth it for these companies to have these features. And it's just proof that when something is even financially worth it, it tends to get done. And, you know, that's not unfortunately the case with all accessibility features. So it does show that, you know, when everyone does kind of come together and use these different features, that it does make a difference, because it expands from there. So it is brilliant to see, for sure. But hey, Jessica, thank you so much for the voice note. Really appreciate it. And hey, if you would like to send a voice note in as well, you can do so. 086 199 0011. Another person who sent us a voice note, regular contributor to the show, Edvard, was into us to discuss all things around sports equipment.
Hi guys, I was just thinking about it. You know how you had a question on the technology podcast one time, what do you do to stay fit? And I think I was the one answering the question actually that time. But anyways, I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if there was accessible fitness equipment? These days, really, there should be. I think a long time ago, when I was in the other course, there were talks about accessible treadmill and all that kind of thing. So, like, it really would be great if, like, there was, like, and not just that you could hook it up via Bluetooth or something like that. It would be great if the accessible fitness equipment was accessible itself. So, like, you know, it will be similar to the workout body feature on the Apple Watch. Say, like, you know, oh, you have done this amount of mile, you have done this amount of, so, like, or an accessible rowing machine, whatever else, like, you know, these days there really should be accessible fitness equipment. And as I'm sending this voice note to you guys, I'm literally pacing back and forward, moving myself. But anyways, yeah, what do you think?
Well, firstly, Edvard, great to hear you're getting the exercise in there. I think that's you in agreement on that, Joe? Great to get a little workout in, sending us a voice note.
Get those steps in, Edward, without a doubt. Either they're inside or outside, just keep moving.
Yeah, 100%. Get the steps in. Do an old jog while you're listening to this. But yeah, do you know what? It's true. In fairness to Edvard, I do the exact same thing. I pace up and down the hall. It's the safest way to do it sometimes. But on that note, just accessible, I suppose, sports equipment. It is a big area, and one that probably could do with some expansion, Joe.
It's a big area, and I think it's one that's, if there's any area has been left behind, it's accessible sports equipment, I suppose. I know there is things to help you, like the hints, as Edward said, on Apple Fitness and stuff like that. But that's probably using your own body weight and using your own exercises and walking and running and all that kind of stuff. It's not specifically sports equipment, but it does help. There also, keeping with the Apple Fitness there as well. There is, if you subscribe to Apple Fitness, there is audio description on Apple Fitness as well. I know we're only after talking about audio description in the previous voice note, but so there is little things like that you can keep in mind. Peloton have bikes; they're very expensive. There is some accessibility features on them, but I don't think they're good enough to be a screen reader, though. That's the only trouble. So
they have, I think, on some of them. Do they have talkback? I think on some of them, I believe as well.
Yeah,
like a basic version or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I haven't used it. It's probably out of my price range at the moment. But I think you're talking, like, for some of those Peloton systems, you could be talking from €1,500 up to €3,000. So depending on which one you get. So look, these kind of things have to be affordable as well. Like, not saying all blind people don't have jobs and stuff, but some just have to make these things affordable for your everyday, working person. Like, So I think. Yeah. I think it's one of those things. In golf, I used to play some blind golf, and we had a tool. I wouldn't say it made golf more accessible. We had a guide and stuff, which was great. But you had an app on our phone, or you could get a Golf Buddy One, I think it was called, which tells you how far you are away from the green. So it'll tell you you're maybe 120 yards away from the front of the green, and you're 130 yards away from the middle, and the flag is on the left, and the back of the green is 140 yards. So then you know what club to take out. So those little things, it's amazing. a lot of people don't think it, but those little hints and descriptions really help a person with vision impairment or that's blind and trying to do some workout or take part in sport.
Absolutely. And Edvard, thank you so much for that voice note. It is a really important one. And yeah, it's true what Joe is saying. Like, you know, like there are options out there, but they tend to be prohibitively expensive right now. And look, you know, both of us are in jobs, but like even on our level, it's, you know, like Vision Ireland ain't making us millionaires, so it's out of our price range too, and it is tough to find something that's in that price range that is going to be accessible for you. But there are definitely some options, and hopefully that will continue to expand. So thank you so much for the voice note, and really appreciate it as always. And hey, a reminder to you, if you would like to send us a voice note, well, we'd love to hear from you. You can send it to us 086 199 0011 on WhatsApp, or you can send us a message to content@vi.ie. But that is it for now. We're moving on to our next topic of the day, where, oh my goodness, he's here. It's time to catch up with a man who is a bit of a legend in tech training circles, down here in Cork at least. And he is here to discuss all things related to Braille and the Meta glasses. Mr. Brian Manning, how are you?
I'm not too bad. As I normally say, David, I'm absolutely average.
Very good, very good. Absolutely average. Sure, what more could you want?
Absolutely average, yes.
So, Brian, speaking of absolutely average, something that has been, I suppose, above average of late is the Meta glasses. It's been talked about a lot, both on this podcast, on other podcasts, and among our service users as well. But do you want to tell me a little bit about how these Meta glasses, which we've covered before, but how are they working with Braille?
They work extremely well, surprisingly well with Braille, because, again, most of the advances for blind people emerging from the Meta glasses are almost through happenstance. In other words, you know, it's coming through AI. They weren't really designed or channeled or directed for vision impaired or blind people, but it's just by the nature of how they do things and how they function that they are of particular benefit to us. And I imagine that the Braille, the whole emergence of how they work with Braille, is also more to do with happenstance than design. Now, so for example, I was looking into this a couple of months ago because I was thinking, look, wouldn't it be great if, for example, some of the people who would have conditions that would lead to dual sensory loss, like hearing loss and sight loss, wouldn't it be great if they could benefit through Braille from these Meta glasses? And, you know, obviously people who would have conditions that may have led to their hearing impairments coming after their sight impairments, which some dual sensory loss conditions will allow for or will emerge from. So, for example, some people with Usher syndrome would have very good speech. So, I was looking into it. We were looking into it. So we had a Focus 40 Braille display connected to an iPhone, and we had the Meta glasses connected as well, tethered as well. So what I did was we just basically did a few Meta tests. So I asked the Meta glasses, for example, to read a menu. So then, using the Meta app on the iPhone, I just moved to through the different tabs, and there's a tab on the Meta app called History. So again, just using a shortcut from the Braille display, chord 1, 2, 3, chord L, I jumped to the top of the history, which brought me to the most recent question I asked, which was, hey Meta, read this menu.
Yeah.
And when I panned, I mean, the full view of the menu that Meta had read out for me came up in Braille. So I had the full menu converted to Braille straight away in front of me, and I could read it at my leisure.
I suppose this is more for people who are unable to hear the glasses as well as see. These are really useful for those who are deafblind.
These are really useful for those who are deafblind, with the obvious proviso, of course, that the person has speech. You know, and unfortunately, you know, not everyone who is deafblind has speech. But for those who do have speech, who may have acquired their hearing impairment later than we said their vision impairment, then they will work they are really, really effective, provided, of course, you have good Braille skills, which a lot of people with dual sensory loss would have. It's something that I would always advise someone who's deafblind to. It's a skill that they should learn, is Braille. And once they have once they have basic Braille literacy and a reasonable, knowledge or experience of digital Braille using these Braille note takers, then, it would work for them, yeah, definitely.
And where do you think this is going to go in the future, Brian?
Well, I think, first of all, it has huge positive implications for the integration and for the inclusion of deafblind people in whatever community they live in, be it, a supportive community such as the Anne Sullivan Foundation, we'll give that as an example, or if they're living in their own communities, which would be, I suppose, the best possible scenario for everyone. But I mean, just imagine that, like, a deafblind person, can go to a restaurant now and, peruse a menu independently and make whatever choices they want to make, or, can operate, very independently in their own homes, have the ability for product identification. They have all of the features and all of the benefits of the Meta glasses and the independence that Meta glasses give vision impaired people in general. They're now available to deaf and blind people, provided, and I know it's a big proviso, but once they have the ability to communicate with the glasses and they have the required Braille skills, then yeah, it's whatever benefits are accruing to the vision impaired person is accruing to people with dual sensory loss now as well. Excellent. And again, I mean, there has to be kind of professional kind of add-on implications as well. So, for example, if you're a Braille user, like, you almost have instant access to text converted to Braille. So, for example, I'm just thinking of, a lot of the kids in schools around the place. I mean, if the teacher gives them the handout, a hard copy handout as opposed to an email or whatever, then, within seconds, I mean, the child will have access to that handout in Braille just by giving the command, hey, Meta, read the full text in front of me, or take a look, read the full text in front of me, and then just navigate into the Meta app, from the Meta app into the history tab, jumping to the top, panning to the last question and reading the results. So
there you go.
It has implications right across the board, to be honest with you. Where Braille is used, this is a very, very positive development.
Super stuff. Speaking of places where Braille is used, Brian, and I know we'll only touch on this briefly because Mairead is going to demo it for us in a minute, but new features on Braille access and such in iOS 26. Are we moving in the right direction with this? Is this an exciting development?
Of course it is. And I mean, it's just twinning with these various developments that have been emerging over the past 20 years, where I suppose the idea is, or the concept is, that Braille is complementing technology and technology is complementing Braille use. And that has to be positive. And I mean, some people, some Braille users, they're fairly ad hoc or they're fairly random with their Braille use, but other Braille users, especially those who were educated through Braille, are very determined Braille users, and so therefore that can only be positive for them as well. So yeah, it's very, very much both systems. There's a great synergy between the technology and the Braille going on at the moment, and I think that is a very, very positive development. And like, Braille is here for the long term, so is technology, obviously, and any developments in both obviously has its knock-on effects or knock-on positivity for blind users, or for blind people, and for Braille users in particular.
Absolutely. Brian, thank you so much. And speaking of all of that, it's always good to catch up with Mairead on the podcast, who is going to tell us a little bit about those Braille access features. Mairead, how are you?
Good, David, thanks.
Excellent stuff. So, Mairead, these Braille access features, there's a lot of new features in iOS 26. Do you want to just give me a general overview, first of all, about what is this whole Braille access thing?
Yeah, so perfect. So recently there has been a lot of, especially with the iOS 18 as well, there was huge improvements with the Braille side of things for iOS devices. So like the Braille screen input got a really big overhaul that time, which was great. So now with iOS 26, they've introduced Braille access menu, which is, it's a nice idea. It's a really good idea to have because it definitely shows that, Braille is still alive and people still want to use it. And, it caters for people in that regard. So what it allows people to do is, it allows us to basically turn our iOS devices into a Braille note taker, which is good. So mainly what we can do with it is we can, access, create and edit like Braille notes and BRF files, which is really good. So it allows us to do all that. So for example, we might all be kind of familiar with using the Braille screen input for the Braille devices in the last while, but especially things like being able to create things like Braille notes or, BRF files are very useful to have because like if you're out and about, it's quicker to, connect your Braille display and use the Braille access menu and create a Braille note if you want to make a note of something than it would be sometimes to use the Braille screen input. So,
Sure.
And especially if you're used to using a Braille note taker as well, I think, it's nice to have the two linked and you can actually physically feel the Braille then on your Braille display as well. So it is nice to have that option.
So what's the difference between, say, for example, writing a note with a Braille display, like a Perkins Braille display connected in the regular Notes app and writing it through text, but you're typing it through Braille, I guess, versus it actually being a BRF file? What's the core difference as such?
Well, so the difference would be really, I suppose, another thing I meant to mention there is like you can do things like share the BRF or the Braille note files as well. So that's kind of handy as well. So the difference with that would be, that you could send that to somebody else as well that was using a Braille device if they wanted it, and it's going to be in the correct format for them as well. So there is very little formatting required. Like for me, I suppose, it is more, I prefer to type using a Braille note taker than using Braille screen input. So for me, it's more efficient and it's faster as well, for using the Braille access menu if I want to type that way. So than using Braille screen input. So that would be the huge difference for me.
Okay, very good. So there are a few different Braille access features. There's an app launcher, there's the UEB a calculator, which is really cool. There is the Braille notes, that's the BRF files that you mentioned. And there's a clock, I think, as well there, Mairead. Am I wrong?
There is, yeah. No, there's the time, yeah. So it gives the time in seconds as well. And there's also the live captioning.
That's a huge one, isn't it, for people wwho are deafblind in particular, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that would be, because that would allow them, if there's, it would translate it into the Braille screen, into Braille for them, if it can be picked up. Now, I suppose the only difference with the live captioning at the moment is I haven't really got the opportunity to test that out because it's not available in all countries. So I haven't really got to test that out, as far as I'm aware, but I'm not totally sure. I think you need to have it your iOS set to the US for that. So
that's disappointing, isn't it? But there you go.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe it might become available here in future updates. But I could see how, the benefits of using that for a deafblind person, it would definitely, open a new world for them, I would think.
Absolutely. No, that is huge. But that is important to note. That's not currently available in Ireland, at least without workarounds. It's kind of Apple intelligence all over again, but there you go. Yep. But hey, Mairead, thank you so much for that. Now, we do have some demos that you very kindly recorded for us, and we're starting off here with the app launcher feature. So will we dive straight into this, or is there anything people should know before we dive in, Mairead?
No, I suppose just for anyone who, I think I mentioned it in the screen recording there, right, that, the app launcher, it's just a quicker, more efficient way of getting to an app that you want. So it's a really nice way of getting a list of all the available apps that you have on your device. And you can also like search for an app then as well. You know, if you can type in the app, if you don't want to navigate the whole way through the app launcher, which is a nice feature to have as well. So yeah.
Awesome stuff. Mairead, thank you so much. Here is the demo that Mairead recorded with the app launcher.
Today I'm going to just talk a little bit about the app launcher. So the app launcher is a nice quick way of getting to, you know, a list of all your apps, and you can navigate to them quickly. So there's two ways you can do it. So what I'll do is I'll start first, and then I'll show you how to get up all the list of apps you have and open it, or else you can do a search for the app. So in order to do it, I have my Braille Sense 6 connected to the phone here. So I'm just going to make sure I have it in terminal mode. So if I go into the File Manager, which is the F1 key, and I'm just going to scroll down to, I'm going to press U to get to Utilities.
Calculator, C.
And I'm just going to navigate forward until I get to
display time and date. World
terminal.
Display compass head. Wake up alarm. Stopwatch. Terminal for screen reader. S. Bluetooth serial port. B. 1 2 list item.
And I'm on Bluetooth serial port there now. So I'm going to press enter. So my phone is connected via Bluetooth to it.
Terminal mode static box.
Okay. So now from anywhere here on the menu, anywhere on the phone, I can access the Braille access menu. To access it, I press keys 7 and 8 together.
Launch app.
So now this says launch app. So this is the app launcher. So now to get into this, I can press the E chord twice, which is space and dots 1 and 5.
Text detective.
Now, so the first one there, it said was text detective, and that's also showing up here on the Braille display. So now I can navigate forward using my little capsule keys or my space and 4 together.
Weather. Slimming World. Ariadne GPS. Clubhouse. 7. Sky TV.
So as you can see there, it's going through the different apps in a forward motion. If I want to go backwards, I can press space and 1 together, or I can use the up arrow and the capsule shape keys.
7. Clubhouse. Ariadne GPS. Slimming World.
And let's just say I wanted to go into Slimming World. That's one of the apps there. I can just press enter and this will open it.
Selected. Welcome to Slimming World.
Now, you can see there I'm logged out of it, so it's open. Now, if I want to get out of that and get back into the Braille access menu, I can press the B chord, which is space and B together.
Launch app.
And there you have it. That is a quick demo of the app launcher. Mairead, very handy and very easy to navigate that, I suppose. You're literally navigating it with buttons, really, aren't you?
Yeah, you are navigating, so there's no touch screen involved because you're doing it all there through your Braille display that's connected. And it's important to mention, I suppose I didn't mention it there, that, you know, these same commands work for any Braille display that you have connected. So for this one, I was using the Braille Sense 6. The commands would be the same for the Focus 14 or 40 as well, or, you know, so one of those devices.
Excellent stuff. And it really does kind of turn the device into a kind of a Braille note taker, which is really cool. And we'll touch more on that in a minute. But
it does. I suppose often I would turn off the speech right now when I'm doing that because it's, you know, I just focus on what's on the Braille display rather than the speech. But for the purpose of the demonstration, I left on the voiceover, which can sometimes be a bit distracting when you're trying to focus on the Braille as well. So, well,
that's interesting. You mentioned that, and we're the next thing we're going to have here is the demo that you did of the BRF Braille notes. And this is really interesting because as you're creating a Braille note, it doesn't speak them out to you in the way that you would traditionally be used to. So let's dive into this one then. So this is the demo that you recorded of the Braille notes feature within Braille Access.
Okay, so I have just demonstrated using the app launcher. So now, because I've gone out of the Braille Access menu, if I hadn't gone out of the Braille Access menu by pressing B chord, which is space and B, it would bring me back. And if I keep pressing that, it will bring me out of the Braille Access menu. So I'm going to relaunch the Braille Access menu again by pressing dots 7 and 8 together.
Launch app.
And now, so first I'm going to demonstrate creating a Braille note and then creating a BRF file. So now that I have my Braille Access menu open, I'm going to navigate down by pressing space and 4 together, or my space and 1 together to navigate back, or I can use the capsule keys as well, whichever you're used to. And this will work on any Braille display that you have connected to your iPhone or iOS device.
Choose item. Braille notes.
So there we're in Braille notes. So now if I press enter.
New.
Okay, so now it says new there. But if I have previously saved some Braille notes, I can navigate through the Braille notes that I have here now. So if now these won't be read out. So if I just navigate forward, and on my Braille display, it says the first Braille note I have is test. So that was the test one I did. And if I wanted to open this, I will press enter. If I navigate forward again, I have another one called apples. So it was another test. And if I do another one again, I have another one called shopping list. So that was another test again that I've done. So what I'm going to do now, if I wanted to open up then, I press enter. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press the B chord again just to go back a bit.
Braille notes.
Now, so I'm in Braille notes. So now I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to press enter.
New.
Now I have the option to create a new Braille note. So if I press enter here,
new note.
I have the option to create a new note, or if I navigate forward,
new folder name.
I have an option to create a new folder name, so a new folder. So now if you create a new folder, that could be useful if you were doing something like, I don't know, maybe if you're working on a project or something and you had multiple things that you wanted to save, you would create a new folder. But if you just wanted to create a new note, for example, if you're doing a shopping list or something like that, then you would use the note. So I'm going to navigate back to new note.
New note.
And I'm going to press enter to activate it. Now, I have little dots here on my cursor, which is indicating that I'm ready to start typing. So I can start typing my note now and it will automatically start saving as I type. So I'm just going to type, hello, this is a test. Now VoiceOver won't read this out, but it is coming up on the Braille display as I'm typing. Now, so I have that written. So now if as I say, this is automatically going to, if I want to save this now, it's his saving, but just to ensure that I save it, I'm going to press the B chord, which is space and B together.
New.
And now that has saved it. And now I am back on my new list again. And as I navigate forward, again, through my list of files and back. It's going to be the very top one. So the most recent one I've created is going to be the very first one. And there it is. So that is written there. I suppose the only disadvantage about a Braille note really is just to remember that when you're creating it, you can't give it a file name. It automatically saves as the first 32 characters that you've typed in the document.
That's something you'd think AI will be helping with at this point, isn't it? But there you go. Mairead, really great demo. Thank you so much for it. A really useful feature, I think, especially for those who do like, as you said yourself, writing with Braille.
Yeah, definitely, I think. And as I would say there, maybe there is, a way to change how you can save that file. Maybe you can give it a file name, but by default it automatically gives it the first 32 characters. Okay. But yeah, definitely for anyone who uses Braille notes on the go, I would think that is very useful because you have access to it then, and they all save to your iCloud drive as well then, which is very handy.
Awesome stuff. That is cool. So Mairead, tell me, I suppose, look, Apple have introduced this really cool new feature, Braille Access. What's the difference then between, if you have an iPhone and a Braille display, what's the difference between that and, for what I'm going to call, for want of a better way to put it, a real Braille note taker?
Yeah, no, that is a good question. I suppose with, as you would say, like an iPhone is, it's great. It's great to have these features built into them for anyone who has, a Braille device that they can connect as well. So it is beneficial for that. And look, I suppose some of the advantages are like, if your iPhone gets damaged or lost or whatever, it's not as expensive to replace that as it would be to replace a Braille display, because that goes into the thousands. Same if you need to replace the battery or whatever, the battery in in a Braille note taker would be a lot more probably expensive to replace as well. So, and I suppose, look, sometimes with Braille note takers after a while too, maybe features become out of date or whatever. I suppose iOS, they'll always be updating the new Braille features and more will be added. But again, for me, like, I still kind of do prefer the physical Braille note taker because, it's a physical device. It's its own standalone device. Like for me, a big thing would be if I was to use Braille connected to the iPhone a lot, you will find it will drain your battery in any of your iOS devices faster as well, because, you are putting it to more use and things as well. So that is a thing to consider. But I suppose for me, definitely, I always do like having the physical touch of the Braille on the Braille devices. So now I know you'd have that if you were using the iOS, the Braille features on the Braille Access as well. But I suppose the thing with the whole Braille note taker is everything on it from start to finish is Braille, whereas sometimes with an iOS device, you will have to navigate between turning on and off Braille access and maybe, using the router and things to go to different areas of the screen and that kind of thing. So it won't automatically put you where you want all the time. So you have a lot more maybe key combinations to remember as well.
Yeah. I guess it's not built for Braille, is it? It's more kind of an overlay, really.
Yeah. It's more, I suppose, an overlay. So, I would think, again, it's people's preference or whatever. But, like, again, a lot of in the Braille access menu as well, I meant to say there, if you're doing a Braille note or anything, a lot of the same commands that you would use for navigating a document, on any Braille device, like space and L will bring you to the top of the document, space and 456 will bring you to the bottom of the document. The enter key is the same. So a lot of the kind of commands are the same for selecting text and things as well. So if you know those, you'll have these learned off as well.
Awesome stuff. So, Mairead, I guess then that leaves us with the $1 million question, which is, are you as a Braille user, a Braille reader, are you going to be using this feature, and what do you think of it overall?
I think I will use it a bit. Now, maybe if I wasn't I suppose I'm so reliant on fully using a Braille note taker that I kind of tend to just default to that a lot of the time. But I definitely do kind of find the Braille notes feature very, very handy for, if I was creating a list or anything that, that I would, and especially if I wanted to, share it with anyone as well who is a Braille reader, that they would have access to that as well. And I suppose, look, the BRF files is very handy as well, because especially if you have anything like, a book from Bookshare or anything, now you can have that on your phone as well, and, you'll be able to read it with the Braille note taker connected as well then. So, I can see the benefit of it there.
How can it improve?
I guess I'd like to see, maybe more come to it, maybe more features like maybe if there was an option on the phone where you could turn the whole phone into a Braille note taker is what I would love, like the whole device sometimes you can easily come out of the Braille access menu by pressing B too much or whatever, the B chord, and you can accidentally come out of it without realizing it. So maybe a tougher way to kind of come out of that by default, that you're kind of locked in it and everything you do then would be, totally orientated to Braille.
So you want them to go further?
I definitely want them to go further. I'd love to see the whole thing, being able to do anything on your phone through Braille, and any apps and everything all have support for it.
That will be cool. Awesome stuff. Mairead, this has been a really insightful conversation. Thank you so much for it. I think this is going to be a really useful feature that will, I suppose, further level that playing field. But I think from what you're saying, this is the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. I mean,
stuff.
it is a big leap in terms of Braille for Apple to go to this. So, and it's something that, no other, as far as I'm aware, no other phone company or iOS company has touched before. So
awesome. Very good. Well, Mairead, thank you so much. And hey, to any of our Braille readers or users out there, we'd love to hear people's perspectives on this. If you do want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email to content@vi.ie or send us a message on WhatsApp 086 199 0011. This is a really cool feature. It's cutting edge in many respects. And even though some of those features aren't available in Ireland, like that live transcription that Mairead mentioned, we'd love to hear from people who are trying it. So please do feel free to get in touch with us, especially if you found a really useful use case for that, like you are deafblind, for example, and maybe you listen to the show or read the show through Braille using our transcripts that we have online. So no matter how you would like to get in touch with us, we'd really be interested in different perspectives on that. So thank you so much, Mairead.
Thank you.
Moving on. We have loads still to come, including talking technology news. But hey, we are bringing Mr. Daniel Dunn in early today because, Daniel, you've got extra business here. How are things?
Not too bad, David. Not too bad at all.
Excellent stuff. So, Daniel, you ran an event not that long ago about the Meta glasses. We've had loads of different events around Meta glasses. They've been very popular of late.
They have, David, indeed, yes. And we ran events in Laois and Offaly there last week. And I have to say, very well attended. And, service users were able to come in, meet face-to-face and have a try-on, I guess, of the Meta glasses, try them out, see what they thought, get an introduction to the features and what they can do. So overall, yeah, two very, very good events in Portlaoise and Tullamore that was well attended.
Super stuff. So you'd one in, I'm reading in front of me here, in St. Fintan's Hospital, and you'd another one, where was that second one that you held?
In Tullamore.
That was in Tullamore. Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. So you were very good. You were thinking of content, which we love to get people doing. And you recorded some demos from that event, or you recorded some interviews with people about their perspectives. So we start off. Who are we starting off with here, Daniel?
So the first one, we have Sean, who lives in Laois, and he attended one in St. Fintan's the event in St. Fintan's in Portlaoise, and shared his thoughts with us. So I have Sean Byrne with me here, who has attended the Meta Glasses Roadshow in Portlaoise in County Laois today. And Sean, you got to try out the Meta Glasses in person. What did you think of them?
I did, Daniel. Thanks very much. I think I'm fascinated by the development in the technology and how it's come on so much. I find the Meta Glasses, I find them so, first of all, so simple to use. Just a very simple instruction. Meta, do whatever you want it asked to do, and it'll speak the answer to you. I think it's fascinating. I think for someone like me that has no sight, that to regain that level of independence, that you can now read a document on your own, I think it's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, Sean. And did you get to try out the calls and the video calling features there as well? What was your thoughts on those?
Yes, we tried out the video calls on it. We tried out just straightforward phone calls, video calls. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's fantastic facility.
Yeah, I think like from being able to get in contact with somebody maybe and show them what you're seeing and maybe able to ask questions about also provides another layer of independence that you can just kind of bring in somebody for that kind of assistance as required.
Absolutely. To me now, I think it's brought Be My Eyes, which is a fantastic facility, but I think it's brought Be My Eyes onto a whole new level.
Absolutely. Sean, overall then, out of 10, what would you give the glasses based on what you've seen?
Definitely 9.5 or a 10. I normally don't give 10s, but definitely a 9.5. And I think I definitely will be a customer and I definitely will be a user, and it's just a matter of getting used to them and playing with them until I get them to work for me properly.
Perfect, Sean. Listen, thank you so much for coming along today. And yeah, that's a really good review. And back to you, David. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Yeah, there's so much there, and it just shows the true potential, doesn't it?
It does indeed, yeah. I suppose, like, we've heard about them and we've spoke a good bit about them, and there's been anticipation here in Ireland for them for quite a while. There was the whole GDPR issue that they couldn't be rolled out properly until, earlier this year. And it's great now that we're able to get around the countryside and meet with people and bring them in small groups and let them try them out. And, I think feedback like that just kind of justifies running events like that. And, Sean there spoke about them. There was anybody in the crowd that came that day, I have a feeling, would have said more or less had the same sentiment. So it's, it's great overall, great to be able to do these events.
Fantastic. And similar response in Tullamore. We also have audio from Tullamore here.
Yep. So we're here in Tullamore and we're just after having a good afternoon with the Meta Glasses Roadshow in Offaly. Good crowd in attendance. And we have Joan with us. Joan, you were in attendance today. What's your thoughts on the Meta Glasses?
I'm very, very impressed with them. I was very impressed with all their features, and I think they're going to be a massive game changer.
Excellent, Joan. And I suppose out of all the features, what was your favourite thing? What really, what really caught your attention?
The main thing was for me, if I go and I pick up something out of the press, that I can read the label.
Excellent. So yeah, going to the press and picking out a few products and all that. Yeah.
So I don't have to go and ask somebody what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Joan, listen, thank you so much for that. And yeah, it's after been a good afternoon here in Tullamore in County Offaly. So back to you, David.
Thank you so much, Daniel. It is one of these things where it's short and sweet, but it's that little thing, like, taking something out of the press and having it read to you. That's the little detail, and it makes such a difference to people,
It does, absolutely, and to be able to identify something quickly, like it's just a quick question, hey Meta, identify this product, or what am I holding? And it's and it is fairly quick. Like, I have to say, the glasses in between asking that question and getting a response. And as technology improves, it's only going to get faster and faster. But I think the response from the glasses back. Now, obviously, this is depending on your Wi-Fi or 5G connection, but overall, I haven't had much of a wait from question to answer. So it's going to bring this in. These glasses are going to become more, technology that you're just going to use on the fly, and you're going to just have it there. Traditionally, I suppose up to this point, we would have maybe got out our smartphone, maybe used Seeing AI or something like that. But then you've only one hand free. But with the glasses, you've two hands free. So I think it just makes the whole experience of it much more accessible and more worthwhile, and kind of quick response as well. So it's all coming together.
Absolutely, and it's only going to get better from here. A reminder to people that if they do want to learn more about the Meta glasses, or you have questions, our technology support help desk is there exactly for things like this. You can give them a call anytime between 9 and 5. The number there, 1-800-911-110. That's 1-800-911-110 if you would like to give our technology support help desk a call, or email labs@vi.ie. That's labs@vi.ie, and ask anything you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be about Meta glasses, but any support that you need, because sometimes you can run into tricky scenarios like that. That's why Labs is there. So do check that out. And Daniel, thank you so much for those recordings, and well done on those events in your neck of the woods, shall we say. But thank you very much for that. I'll let Daniel run off and get very quickly ready for the news. I'm going to put Daniel under pressure now. But there are also loads of ways that you can get in touch with the podcast here. A reminder that if you would like, you can send us a WhatsApp voice note to 086 199 0011. Or you can send us an email to content@vi.ie if you would like to join the conversation, be that about Meta glasses, be that about Braille, anything at all from anywhere in the world. We would love to hear from you. So please do get in touch. Right, that's enough email addresses and phone numbers for one day. I think we've given enough time there now. So let's head back over to Daniel Dunn for your latest Talking Technology news.
This is Talking Technology News.
So, with your latest Talking Technology news, I'm Daniel Dunn. The Irish Architecture Foundation have got a partnership with visual interpreting app Aria, allowing users who are blind or visually impaired to get assistance when exploring a number of architecturally significant sites in Dublin. Some of the sites included in the partnership are the Guinness Storehouse, Kilmainham Jail, as well as access to a Lego workshop. The partnership hasn't been discussed much online, and we discovered it by accident, but it is a fantastic initiative that we hope we'll see more of. Another assistant app, Be My Eyes, has announced a 6-month pilot with Tesco to provide support to visually impaired customers in its UK stores. But this partnership isn't available in Ireland at the moment, unfortunately. What areas do you find yourself struggling to access, and where would you most benefit from an assistant app like Be My Eyes or Area? Do let us know with a WhatsApp voice note. In other news, it's the end of the line for Windows 10. First introduced back in July 2015, Windows 10 was supposed to be the last version of Windows ever. It replaced Windows 8.1, which along with Windows 8 had been a bit of a rocky period for Microsoft. The current version of Windows, known as Windows 11, was introduced back in October 2021, so users have had approximately 4 years to upgrade. Upgrades were offered for free in many cases, but not all computers supported the Windows 11 operating system. For computers that don't support Windows 11, there are now basically 2 options. You can look at a computer upgrade, or you can kick the can down the road with a year of extended security updates, which are available to those with a Microsoft account. It's not an ideal situation, as for those with assistive technologies in particular, you may need to look at upgrades to that software in order to enable you to move to newer versions of Windows. When doing this, it's always worth considering your needs, and if free options such as NVDA or the inbuilt Windows magnifier may be suitable for you. If you are still using Windows 10 and have questions, feel free to send an email to labs@vi.ie to get support. Also this week, Humanware have announced that they are working on a new product or app to integrate with the Meta glasses. It's not super clear just yet what exactly they are working on, but one feature that is on the way is called Follow Me. Follow Me allows you to tell your Meta glasses to track someone, and as they move, the Meta glasses will provide an audio cue to help you stay aligned with them. This could be something as simple as following a colleague across a building or an assistant through a train station. Judging from videos shared on the company's website, it seems that this technology will also become part of an assistant app from Humanware. Full details of the products aren't currently clear, but it's definitely exciting. In a press release, Humanware said, "Our path to this moment began long before smart glasses became mainstream. For years, Humanware engineers and researchers have been exploring AI-powered navigation, scene recognition, and wearable interaction. The focus has always been practical. What features will blind and low vision people trust and use in real life? That process, prototype, test, refine, has led to functions now in development for consumer glasses platforms. They include text-to-speech reading, instant text actions, live translation, and conversation focus. Each is designed to reduce barriers in daily communication, work, and travel."
Talking Technology News.
And now it's time for some rapid-fire stories. Android 16 is being released widely to the public now. Users with compatible smartphones should check for updates now. There isn't a huge amount new on the accessibility front, but there are some quality of life improvements. Also, there's a presidential election taking place in Ireland on Friday. So it's worth a reminder that the Electoral Commission have previously confirmed on Talking Technology that voters do have the right to use assistive apps if necessary. Voters can also use a ballot paper template with information for template users available by free phone on 1-800-848-850. That's 1-800-848-850. More accessible voting information can be found in this podcast show notes. And finally this week, the mobility assistant Rango has got an update to give it new pedestrian GPS navigation features. Rango is more popular in France, so if any of our French listeners want to tell us about us, please do send us a voice note. And that's it for now. Remember, we have extra content coming to our YouTube channel this week, so be sure to subscribe by searching VI Labs Accessibility on YouTube. But for now, though, it's back to you, David.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I've never tried a Rango. I don't know if you've ever tried a Rango, Daniel.
No, I have not.
I have not tried out a Rango, but who knows if any of our listeners in France or any countries that do have those products will be great to hear a little bit about it. I don't know whether we're missing out. I don't know enough to know whether we are missing out, but there you go. Also, that partnership with Ira, and Joe, I want to bring you in on this as well. So it turns out that after we had that news script for today's podcast written, we learned that partnership is no longer available. It was specifically timed to coincide with Open House Dublin. So unfortunately not widely available as of now, but still a great idea, Joe.
Yeah, it was a good tourism initiative, I thought, but I'd love to see it come to other places in Ireland now at this stage, whether it be our airport or fast food outlets or even shops, or maybe just to match up with some, because they do have a lot of Irish, well, maybe not a lot, they have some Irish customers, but they might get a lot if they had, if they were able to collaborate with some Irish businesses, whether it be department stores or whatever. So
yeah.
I think it was a good initiative. I didn't even hear anything about it at the time. It wasn't very well advertised, but I'm delighted to see they did break the ice with somebody, so that might mean there might be an opportunity for somebody else.
Absolutely. And I think the Irish Architecture Foundation, and we have reached out to them just to get more information on this, and hopefully we'll report back on this in the future. But I would hope that, you know, they found it a success and that they're open to trying it. I think it's always a challenge to, you know, get people using these services. We spoke about audio description earlier on. And, you know, getting people using these services ultimately has value. But in order for people to use it, people need to be aware of these things. So hopefully in the future, when this stuff comes again, we'll have people will tell us about it and we can tell you. So be sure to subscribe for that. Loads of other things happening in Ireland. A presidential election on Friday. There are loads of accessible voting information for you. You can check all that out on both the Vision Ireland website, Electoral Commission website as well, and the presidential election website. I think they have that. Is that the returning officer? Is that what you call that? I think, Daniel, isn't it?
Yes, so I'll just briefly go down through it here, David. So just you have assistance options while casting your vote. You can bring a companion. So if you have a visual impairment, physical disability, or even a literacy difficulty which prevents you from voting without assistance, you can bring a companion. The companion has your permission to mark the ballot for you with your choice. This person must be at least 16 years of age, cannot be an election candidate themselves or an agent of the candidate. So And also, there's one more little restriction on the companion. This person must not help more than 2 people per election or referendum. So that's if that's one option for you. You can also ask the presiding officer. So, if you're unable to bring in a companion with you for whatever reason, they could be busy, they could be working, they're just not available on the day. So you can also go to the polling station, and again, you can ask the presiding officer there to help you cast your vote. Now, there is some advice around this, because if you are going to go independently by yourself and you're going to maybe seek assistance from the presiding officer, there's strong advice on this that you should go to the polling station well before the polling station is closing, because a presiding officer can refuse your request for the last 2 hours of voting. And the reason for this is, right, and I guess it kind of makes sense, typically on voting day, there's a big push between 8 and 10 o'clock, I guess, in the evening time. So in order to help with the smooth running of the polling station, all the staff have to kind of keep hands on deck. So if you are going, maybe just go that little bit earlier in the day. So if you're going to maybe go and seek the assistance of your presiding officer. So yeah, and also the ballot paper template. They're a transparent plastic device that's placed on top of the ballot paper. It has raised print on it and Braille on it, so that you can vote independently. So if you don't want a companion or the presiding officer, so there are your 3 options.
Fantastic. We'll get that phone number off you again in a second, Daniel. I think it is great to have these options. It would be fantastic, I think, and Joe, I'd be interested in your perspective here. There are hopefully going to be more options in the future. One would hope that there will be efforts made to make these things more accessible. But I suppose it's good that there are some options at least, even if it is not a perfect system.
Yeah, well, I suppose it helps that we can use our phone. Personally, I sometimes use the presiding officer because the template, I'm not a very good Braille user. I don't trust myself to understand it enough, so I'd use the presiding officer. But I am hopeful that we will find an accessible option. There is certain countries that do have accessible options. I think it's Iceland and stuff. They have fully accessible ones. But look, with the option and technology is out there at this stage, I think it is something we should have at this stage, David.
Sure, yeah. It's going to be an interesting conversation and always a topic of debate, but not one for today's podcast, but would absolutely be interested in your perspectives on that. You can send us a voice note in if you would so please. But Daniel, can we get that number as well? So this is a number for those using the tactile ballot templates.
That's right.
So this,
and it also list out the names of the candidates standing in the election. Now, look, we all know coming up to this election, there's only 2 have made the final day. So the free phone number again is 1-800-848-850. So 1-800-848-850. That's your phone number.
There we go.
Yeah, and
Daniel,
a little bit easier this time, lads. Only two candidates,
exactly.
So it's not like our local elections where we had 10 or 12 names on the paper, and that got a bit complicated.
Yeah.
Remember the European one?
Yeah.
The European one, I think we had 20 something.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that was really hard with the Braille stuff to navigate as well.
Yeah. Have you done that, Mairead, with the tactile?
Oh, I
ballot paper
have.
template?
Yeah.
How did you find it? Just briefly.
Yeah, no, I kind of liked it. It works actually quite well for me because you have the little space in the boxes as well where you can, easily insert put the biro, so it's grand, and you have your Braille right beside it. So, but definitely for the larger votes, it does get more complex because I don't think the larger ones were thought about really.
Yeah, I think I've told this story on the podcast before. But I always remember the first time I voted, I tried to do it independently and I felt awful after it because I felt like I unintentionally spoiled my vote that time, because for the simple fact that I've always struggled to write stuff. And I felt that the challenge of like writing a 1 or a 2 or whatever, I thought that was quite challenging for me. So look, decide what's best for yourselves. Absolutely. And all that information, we will have links to both the Electoral Commission website and the Presidential Election website in our show notes. So do check that out. But hey, Daniel, Joe, Mairead, thank you so much for that. And hey, thank you as well for listening. That is our show for this week, and we will be back really soon with another episode of Talking Technology. A reminder before we go that we will have extra content over on our YouTube channel this week. That interview with Joe Garrity, all about his book Out of Sight, that will be on the VI Labs YouTube channel. So just search VI Labs Accessibility on YouTube, and we will hopefully see you there. But for now, thank you so much for listening. Stay safe. Happy voting if you're voting on Friday, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for another episode of Talking Technology with VI Labs. See you then.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Technology podcast with VI Labs. If you'd like to support our show, please visit vi.ie/donate. Talking Technology is proudly sponsored by IA Labs, the market leader in digital accessibility services. IA Labs, digital inclusion, your legal obligation.